I dreamt about this pen last night, believe it or not. And do I remember any of the dream? Probably not, but I did dream about it. This is sort of a favorite of mine. I go through favorites quite often. I'll try one out and I'll think, this is the perfect pen, and then I'll get tired of it, as we do with perfection. And we try something else, and then we say, that's the perfect pen. But this one is interesting, and I would not use this to write with because it has too much variety in the ink coverage. It's more the ink coverage. When I barely press down, as you would expect, the ink flows more stingily. I mean, the ink is there, it just doesn't, the transfer to the paper doesn't happen because you're not hardly applying any pressure, so hardly any ink is showing up. So when I draw very lightly with it, even if it's making a line, the line seems not only thinner, which you'd expect, but also it seems grayer, which you don't expect. I mean, sometimes you see that happen, but on this particular pen, it seems kind of obvious. So from thin to thick, it almost seems to go from gray to black. And it's an odd experience, I guess. So what this pen, in effect, is pretending to be a pencil. And it's not pretending to be one pencil, it's pretending to be a hard pencil and a soft pencil both at the same time. So it sort of switches right there in the middle from the H series to the B series, which means soft for some reason. I don't know why. I suppose I could look it up. So anyway, it's really a fun pen to sketch with because it appears like I'm using a pencil. I don't think I could do a finished drawing for reproduction using this pen because when I scan it in, the gray will not scan as effectively as the black, so it may not work, but it works nice for doing original drawings and sketches. Looking at an original image made with this pen might be nice. And I have to do a drawing today that is of a set of buildings, and thankfully the clients have said I can have fun with them rather than having to draw them with right angles and in perfect perspective. I can sort of have crazy fun. Think of the set for the cabinet of Dr. Caligari. That's the sort of fun that I can have. There's going to be a spaceship in the thing, and there's going to be a dog, and it's for a wedding invitation. So it's going to be fun. Fun, I promise you. So I'm sort of just limbering up my brain and my pen in my hand, and I don't think I can use this pen. What I'm going to be using, I think, are these two pens. This one has a nice flexible line that's starts off pretty loud, and I'm going to be drawing this larger than it will be printed and then reducing it so that the thin line will get even thinner. So I like to start usually with a broader pen if I know I'm going to be reproducing it smaller. And this pen is a nice, even broader pen, and it's sort of loud, and so I'm going to be using this for sort of emphasis. And with one stroke I can make a really thick line, whereas if I just use this pen I'd have to use two strokes to maybe get a line that's that thick. Maybe not. Anyway, I'll use these two pens. I do have to do some lettering for this invitation. as well, and I think I'm going to be using this pen for that. It's not my normal calligraphy. Most of it will be printed lettering, but it will be, they're going to be, appear as if they were signs on buildings. The location of the wedding is the Sinclair nightclub in restaurant. It's actually a restaurant and a nightclub combined, two in one. And in the background, you actually see it's the entrance to this nightclub is sort of down an alley, or appears to be down an alley. And this sign here, the Sinclair sign, is sort of like that. And there's taller buildings. The Sinclair building itself is taller, and there's some girders for signs and a spaceship, which doesn't actually exist there, but they wanted it in the picture. And it'll be a nighttime scene, I believe. And so, you know, I might have the background of the sign be white with dark letters, or vice versa. I haven't figured that out yet. It's not going to say the Sinclair or kitchen or anything. This will contain the names of the, in this case, the bride and groom. There'll be some fireworks. It'll be fun. But I have to sort of get myself ready. When I doodle here, I am loosey-goosey and I have fun. When I actually get a new piece of paper that's going to be a new thing for a client, I immediately start tightening up, regardless of the job. And I need to figure out how to not do that. God, I dreamt about that too last night. What's so funny? I dreamt I was going to be part of a singing group, and I forgot all my words, and performance anxiety, and someone wanted to kick me out of the, not kick me, I was kicked out of the singing group, but I was also a waiter, singing waiter, and I was kicked out of that because I gave the man some oil for his salad, oil and vinegar dressing. He needed oil, so I brought him some oil and I gave it to him, and he threw it at me, and it was just awful nightmare. That's what happens when you live inside my head. I don't recommend it. But anyway, this pen, back to this pen. This is the pen that let's see if I can zoom in here. This is the one that's presently sort of a favorite. And I know that I have other pens that sort of do this. It reminds me sort of a car. And when a car you're driving in your car and it's halfway coasting maybe, you sort of have a sense that there isn't any, even though you're moving forward, even though this pen is making a line, it really doesn't feel like it's working until you step on the gas and you know you're pumping more gas into it. And because of the apparent grayness of the line that it's making. And it's really quite interesting. Again, this is the pen for me that I would use for sketching. And I do use it for sketching. For drawing, real true-to-life drawing, or rendering, even more tight and anal and have to be perfect, striving for perfection, rendering, I wouldn't use this pen because it seems inconsistent, even though it isn't. You know, it almost looks like I'm using two pens, this pen and this pen, gray pen and a black pen. And I have other pens that make thin lines like this that are black. They don't have that two tone aspect to them, even though they seem to make thin lines. It's just this one is special. Isn't that special? It is special. So that's what I'm dealing with today. Thanks for watching.